Name is Nandini. Here we are continuing of our video series on operating system. In this video, we cover what is an interrupt, types of an interrupt. Here we are knowing the definition of the name interrupt. An interrupt is a signal that hardware or software sends to the CPU to indicate that something happened that has to be attended to right away. It puts the processor present actions on hold, preserves its state, and then launches a handler or functions to handle the event. Following the interruptions, the CPU proceed with the prevention. Here we can see the interrupts in operating system diagram, and here some of the brief picture of interrupts in operating system. Here are some of the basic concepts and importance of interrupts in operating system. Interrupts are essential mechanism in operating system that allows the CPU to react to synchronize event that enable the system to prioritize and manage urgent tasks over ongoing processes, ensuring efficient and effective performance. The significance of interrupts in operating system includes first one is real time response. By allowing interrupts, the processor can react to signals or events from the outside world instantly rather than the needing to continuously scan for them. For time sensitive tasks like managing input and output operations, corresponding with peripherals, and reacting to vital system events, this real time responsiveness is essential. And next one is effective resources use. The CPU can carry out their operations while it waits off for an interrupt to happen by employee interruption. By not continually querying for events, this makes better use of the CPU processing capacity and avoids wasting important resources. Priority handling. By classifying interrupts according to importance, the system can deal with more urgent situations first. This guarantee the critical tasks are completed on time, even in the event of several interruptions occurring at once. Modular design. By allowing peripheral and devices to connect with the processor independently, interrupts let computer system have a modular design. System architecture is made simpler, scalable, and increased, and adding or removing components is made easier without harming the system as a whole thanks to the modular approach. Next thing is error handling and multitasking. In handling and recur interrupts are essential. By starting the proper error handling process in response to unforeseen events such as hardware and malfunction and software problems, they enable the system to react. Multitasking. The ability to execute numerous processes simultaneously is made possible in multitasking operation systems by using interrupts to transitions between various activities. The operating system may collect CPU time effectively and offer a responsive user experience by employing. Here we can see the difference between the hardware and software interrupts. Here I mentioned separate columns to those hardware interrupts and software interrupts. In software, an interrupt caused by hardware or on external device is known as in hardware interrupt. Software interrupt defined an interrupt produced by a computer's internal systems is referred to as a software interrupt. And second point, it does not move the program counter forward, but software interrupt is counter is increased. And in hardware interrupts, hardware failed or an external device requested to initiate an IO can both cause hardware interrupt. In software interrupt, the NIT instructions can be used to trigger a software interrupt. And here more few more hardware and differences between hardware and software interrupters. Compared to software interrupt, it has low priority. Software interrupts have high priority. One method of communicating with external peripheral and hardware is through hardware interrupts, which is initiated by external hardware. Software interrupts are caused by software are seen as mean of interacting with kernel or initiating system cells, particularly in the context of error or exception management. Next one is the event is synchronous and the event is synchronized. And few more hardware interrupts go into one of two categories. One is interruptible maskable and interruptions that are not maskable. In software, there are two types divided into two types normal and exception. Hardware interrupt can be caused by mouse movement or keyboard pressions. Every system call is an illustration of a software types of interrupts. Hardware interrupts, you can see that when the instructions are ready, the CPU receives an interrupt signal from external device and input or output device. You can see the diagram of hardware input here. The example of hardware hardware input hardware interrupt hardware interruptions occurs when we press key on a keyboard to perform a task. For instance, this action trigger a signal to processor which then proceeds to perform the activity. Here, next thing is maskable interrupt. Maskable interrupt is an interrupt that CPU can order to be ignored or disabled. Either edge or level triggered interrupts are used. Here you can see the example network card interrupt for incoming data and non-maskable interrupt. An interrupt that the CPU instructions cannot disable or ignore is referred to as a non-maskable. When response time is crucial or when an interrupt should never be disabled during regular system operations, a non-maskable interrupt is frequently utilized. Reporting hardware problem that can be fixed, system profiling and debugging, and manage special scenarios such as system resets are some examples of these applications. Here you can see the examples of non-maskable interrupt and few more is software interrupt. Software interruptions are present when internal device and software programs generate an interrupt signals in order to accept a system call. Here you can see the examples of software interrupts. And next the one is exception. An exception is just an unforeseen delay in the course of running a program. An exception is created for instant if a program is running and value is obtained in the divided by 0. Here you can see the examples of a exception. So page fault. Here invalid opcode. And when a software attempt to access memory segmented that is not authorized to access segmentation fault occurs. Here we covered about what is in this video we covered what is an interrupt and types of an interrupt.